Welcome Geometry to the Homework Help video, page 123, numbers 6 through 25. You'll probably have to pause this video a lot. I have pre-typed the answers for each problem, so I am going to go pretty fast through this video, so please understand that. And here we go. Let's start off with numbers 6 through 10. Numbers 6 through 10, the directions say to write the contrapositive of the given statement and also write the converse. Now I have chosen to write the converse first and then the contrapositive. I feel like that makes it a little easier, but you're welcome to do that in any order that you want, okay? So here we go with number 6. If Ryan gets a B on the final test, then he will pass the course, okay? Well, here's the converse. Notice I took the hypothesis and the conclusion and I swapped their places. If Ryan passes the course, then he will get a B on the final test, okay? Now, the contrapositive, and again, students, you're probably going to have to pause this video a lot as you take notes of the different problems and write things down. But the contrapositive, notice that I negate this and I negate this by adding a not and adding a not right here. Okay, so the contrapositive would be if Ryan does not pass the course, then he did not get a B on the final test. Okay, converse, contrapositive. Number 7. If Alberto finds a summer job, then he will buy a new car. Here is the converse. If Alberto buys a car, then he found a summer job. Excuse me, that's the converse. Here's the contrapositive. If Alberto does not buy a car, then he did not find a summer job. Okay? So I negate the hypothesis and I negate the conclusion. Number 8. If Jeremy babysits on Saturday, then he can afford to buy a new t-shirt. Here's the converse where I switch the hypothesis and the conclusion. If Jeremy can't afford to buy a new t-shirt, then let's see. Sorry, this should be can right here. I apologize. If Jeremy can afford to buy a new t-shirt, then he babysat on Saturday. Here's the contrapositive. If Jeremy can't afford to buy a new t-shirt, then he did not babysit on Saturday. Okay, on Saturday. Okay, moving on to number 9. If the fuse is blown, then the light will go on. If the fuse is blown, then the light will not go on. Here's the converse. If the light does not go on, then the fuse is blown. The contrapositive would be if the light goes on. Now look what I did there, students. This phrase here already had the word not, so I dropped the word not, and that's how I negated that, okay? This phrase here did not have the word not, N-O-T, so I negated this phrase by putting the word not right here, okay? So make sure you understand that. If the light goes on, then the fuse has not blown, okay? Moving on to number 10. If the car is running, then the key is in the ignition. The converse would be, if the key is in the ignition, then the car is running. The contrapositive would be, if the key is not in the ignition, then the car is not running. Okay? Number 11. Now on numbers 11, 12, and let's see, at numbers 11 through 14, I believe it is, the directions say to use the law of syllogism and state what conclusion we can come up with. So here we go. If the sun is shining, then it's a beautiful day. And if it's a beautiful day, then we'll have a picnic. So the conclusion I can come to is if the sun is if the sun is shining, this phrase right here, then we'll have a picnic, this phrase down here. Okay? Number 12. If the stereo is on, then the volume is loud. And if the volume is loud, then the neighbors will complain. So the conclusion I can come to is if the stereo is on, then the neighbors will complain. All right. Number 13. If Yumi goes to the movies, then Ginger will go to the movies. And if Ginger goes to the movies, then Marta will go to the movies. Well, the conclusion I can make is if Yumi goes to the movies, then Marta will go to the movies. Okay. Number 14. If the moon is full, then the coyote will howl. If the coyote howls, then the cattle will be nervous. So the conclusion I can make is if the moon is full, then the cattle will be nervous. Okay? All right, number 15. A nursery rhyme ends with "for want of a nail, the," and then some blanks. Write the following premises in order. Then use the law of syllogism to complete the final statement of the nursery rhyme. Okay? So here we go. All right? What I chose to do is I just took letter A and I pretended that should be first. Now, I knew that it might not be, but it's a good starting place. So I took the letter A and I wrote out what letter A said. And here's what it said right here. If the horseshoe is lost, then the horse will be lost. Now, notice this last phrase, then the horse will be lost. So I'm looking for a phrase that picks up where A ended. So A ended with, then the horse will be lost. So do you see a phrase up here that says, if the horse is lost? Let's see. Yes, right here, letter B. So letter B would come next. If the horse is lost, then the night will be lost. So letter B came next. So now I have, if the horseshoe is lost, then the horse will be lost. If the horse is lost, then the night will be lost. So now I'm looking for a phrase. I've used A, I've used B. Now I'm looking for a phrase that starts with, if the night will be lost. Let's see. Here it is right here, letter E. If the night is lost. So now letter E will come next. So now I have, if the horseshoe is lost, then the horse will be lost. If the horse is lost, then the night will be lost. If the night is lost, then the battle will be lost. So now I'm looking for a phrase that starts off with, if the battle will be lost. And here it is right here, D. Okay? So D comes next. And here it is. Then the battle will be lost. And then it says, if the battle is lost, then the kingdom will be lost. So now letter D ends with, then the kingdom will be lost. So I'm looking for a phrase that starts with, if the kingdom will be lost. And I don't see that anywhere. So what that tells me is the other phrase that I have probably has to go up here somewhere in the top. So I've used A, I've used B, I've used E, and I've used D. Well, look at the end of C. Now watch this, students. Look at the end of C. Then the horseshoe will be lost. So if I were to put C right here, it would end with what? Then the horseshoe will be lost. And look where A picks up. If the horseshoe is lost. So it does make sense that C is here because C ends with, then the horseshoe will be lost. And A picks up with, if the horseshoe is lost. So I'm going to squeeze C right in here and see if that makes sense. And it should. Look what happens. If a horseshoe nail is lost, then the horseshoe will be lost. If the horseshoe is lost, then the horse will be lost. If the horse is lost, then the night will be lost. If the night is lost, then the battle will be lost. And if the battle is lost, then the kingdom will be lost. There we go. So, using the law of syllogism, I can state, if a horseshoe nail is lost, then the kingdom will be lost. Because if this, then this, and then this, then this, and then so on and so forth, all the way down through. So look how they want us to end this nursery rhyme. It says, for want of a nail. In other words, right here, for want of a nail, then something happens. Well, for want of a nail means it's missing. So if a horseshoe nail is lost or missing, then what? Then the kingdom will be lost. So we would end like this. For want of a nail, the kingdom will be lost. Because if a horseshoe nail is lost, then the kingdom will be lost. Okay? That's the law of syllogism. All right, let's continue on. Number 16. Write the contrapositive of the first statement. Okay. If the cat does not run out of the room, then Chad will not scream. Okay. Well, we're going to pick up the hypothesis or the conclusion. We're going to put it over here, and then we're going to negate it by taking this out. And then we're going to pick up the hypothesis, and we're going to move it over here, and we're going to negate the hypothesis by taking out the word not. So it'll look like this. If Chad screams, then the cat will run out of the room. So there's the contrapositive for the first statement. Number 17, order the first three statements or their contrapositives so that the conclusion of each premise is the hypothesis of the next. In other words, to make this easier to understand, just take these first three expressions and order them in a way that makes sense. Okay, so here we go. All right, now the first thing I want to show you is this. Let me go back a page. If you look at these three statements they want us to put in the right order, 1, 2, 3, notice in the second one there's no nots, N-O-Ts, anywhere. And notice in the third one there's no knots. It would really be helpful if they were all written that way. So instead of using this expression here for the first one, it is not only acceptable, it is the right way to do it. We're going to go ahead and use the contrapositive of this, because then the word not will be missing here and the word not will be missing here. So here's the contrapositive for the first statement. We already did that from number 16 way back here, right here. And then here's the other two expressions right here, from right here and right here. Now we're going to put these in the correct order. So here we go. Let's see. If Chad screams, then the cat will run out of the room. So if this expression right here ends with the cat will run out of the room, then we want an expression that starts with if the cat runs out of the room. I don't see that anywhere. So I'm going to go to a different expression. Let's try this one here. If a mouse jumps out of the dresser, then Chad will scream. So because this expression right here ends with Chad will scream, I'm looking for an expression that says if Chad screams, and here it is. Now, maybe this expression should go first. Let's put it there and see if this makes sense, okay? And maybe it will or maybe it won't. Let's see. If the dresser drawer is opened, then a mouse will jump out. If a mouse jumps out of the dresser drawer, then Chad will scream. If Chad screams, then the cat will run out of the room. This is perfect, students. Look at it. It ends with the mouse jumping out, and it starts with the mouse jumping out. It ends with Chad screaming, and it starts with Chad screaming. So it's perfect. It's exactly the way it should be. So we've accomplished number 17. We have ordered the first three statements, okay? Now moving on to number 18. Did Chad scream? Well, let's see. Look at this phrase right here. It tells us that Chad did open the dresser drawer. Do you see that? So let's see if Chad did scream. Let's see. Chad did open the dresser drawer. And it says if the dresser drawer is open, the mouse will jump out. And then if the mouse jumps out, Chad will scream. So yes, definitely. Chad will scream because the dresser drawer was opened and the mouse jumped out. And if a mouse jumps out, then Chad will scream. So definitely. Number 19, did the cat run out of the room? Well, let's see. Here we go. All that we know for sure is that Chad opened the dresser drawer. So let's see. Did the cat run out of the room? Well, the dresser drawer was open, so the mouse jumped out. If the mouse jumps out, then Chad screams. And then look at this. If Chad screams, then the cat will run out of the room. So did the cat run out of the room? Yes. The cat ran out of the room because the dresser drawer was open. Because if it's open, the mouse will jump out. If the mouse jumps out, then Chad will scream. If Chad screams, the cat will run out of the room. So yes, the cat definitely ran out of the room. Okay? Hope this is making sense. This is all the law of syllogism. Okay? Number 20. Now, before we try to answer number 20, the directions want us to try to order these and put these in order, see if we can make some sense of these. Now, listen to me carefully, students. Think about this. Notice that all of your expressions here do not have the word not, N-O-T, except this first expression. So I would like to encourage you to make them all the same. So what you could do is you could rewrite these three and put the word not in there, which would be really difficult to do. Or we can just rewrite the first one by using the contrapositive. Okay, so we could take the conclusion and put it over here. We could take the hypothesis and put it over here, and then drop the word not and drop the word not. Okay, and that's what we're going to do. So here we go. Here's your four statements. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here they are. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to move these around, put them in order. Before I do that, though, remember the first thing I want to do is I want to rewrite this first statement here so that I have the contrapositive, okay? And where did it go? I have it. I thought I had that somewhere. and maybe I did not. Let's see here. Hold on one second, students. Okay, students, I'm back. Sorry about that. I did not have this done already. I thought that I did. So let's move it right up here, and let's quickly type the contrapositive. Okay, so let's see what we have here. All right, did not want to do that. And let's see if we can try this again. My mouse does not want to work tonight. There we go. All right, now okay, if Diego does shop, then he will buy popcorn. Okay, there we go. Now what I did, students, look carefully. I took this here and I picked up the conclusion and put it over here, took the hypothesis and put it down here, got rid of the word not and got rid of the word not. So now I have the contrapositive, okay? If Diego does shop, then he will buy popcorn. All right, now let's continue on. So back to number 20. So I want to arrange these in the right order. Okay, so let's see. If Angela shops, then she will buy pizza. So next would come, if she buys pizza, she'll have some left over. Let's go back up here. If the store is open, Angela and Diego will shop. So we'll put that here, put this here. I think we got it. Let's see if this is right, students. Okay, here we go. All right, let's see if this is right. If the store is open, Angela and Diego will shop. If Diego shops, he will buy popcorn. If Angela shops, then she'll buy pizza. So notice the end right here is, if I can get this to work, notice the end is Angela and Diego will shop. And then this one starts here with Diego will shop. And this one starts here with Angela will shop, okay? And it says if Angela shops, then she will buy pizza. If she buys pizza, she will have some left over. Okay, so, and then we do know the store is open because it says right here, the store is open. So, did Angela buy popcorn? Well, students, we really don't know. She could have, but we don't know. So we're going to say don't know or not for sure. We don't know. Just put not sure. We know for sure she bought pizza. If the store is open, then Angela will shop. And if Angela shops, she'll buy pizza. Now, Diego bought popcorn, but we do not know for sure if Angela bought popcorn, okay? Moving on to, let's go back here and let's copy this. So we have this from here on. There we go. And let's go on to number 21. Now, did Angela have pizza left? Well, let's see. The store is open. I'm going to go and put this up here. I guess the store is open, okay? If the store is open, Angela will shop. If Angela shops, then she'll buy pizza. And if she buys pizza, then she'll have some left over. So, did she have some left over? Most definitely. Yes. Okay, number 22. Did Diego eat part of Angela's pizza? Well, you're not going to know. Nowhere does it mention what Diego's eating habits are like, okay? So we have no idea if Diego ate part of her pizza or not. So we're not sure. Could have. We just don't show. So we just don't know. So undetermined, not sure, not enough information given, however you want to say that, okay? And then number 23. Did Diego buy popcorn? Well, yes, of course he did. Look right here. The store is open. And if the store is open, which it is, then Diego will shop. And if Diego shops, he will buy popcorn. So did Diego buy popcorn? Yes, he did. Okay? All right, moving on to number 24. On 24 and 25, they want us to number these in the correct order and then give a conclusion in the end. Okay? So, what I've chosen to do to save time is, instead of putting the measure of angle 7 equals 120, I've just written 7 equals 120, then 6 equals 60, just to save time. I hope that's okay with you guys. Okay, that's how I've done it. So we're really not quite sure what order to put these. So when I'm not sure, what I do is I start with the letter A, and I write down the first one, letter A, and then I see what comes at the end, 6 equals 60. So I look for another phrase that starts with 6 equals 60. So what I did first is I typed letter A. If the measure of angle 7 equals 120 degrees, then angle 6 equals 60. Now I ended with this, so I'm looking for a phrase that starts with this. And here it is, right here, letter D. If angle 6 equals 60, then 5 equals 120. So I put letter D next. So here's letter D. If angle 6 equals 60, then angle 5 equals 120. Now I ended with this, so I'm looking for something that says 5 equals 120, a phrase that starts with that, and you're not going to see it anywhere. So what that tells me then is that this, D and A, are the bottom two. So I've got to go backwards. So if A started with angle 7 equals 120, then I want a phrase that ends with then 7 equals 120. Okay, and I want that phrase to go right here. So it ends with this and then starts with this. So do you see a phrase that ends with 7 equals 120? I do. It's letter A. And let's see. No, I'm sorry. I apologize. Let's see here. It's not letter A. It's letter C. Here it is. C ends with this right here. So I'm going to put letter C right here. And when I do that, you'll see how it makes sense. Watch this. Here's letter C. If angle 1 equals 120 degrees, then angle 7 equals 120 degrees. And then it picks up right here. If angle 7 equals 120, then 6 equals 60. If 6 equals 60, then 5 equals 120. Okay, so we're doing really well. Now, going backwards, I want to put a phrase right here that ends with 1 equals 120. So it picks up right here. So I've used C, I've used A, I've used D. Which phrase ends with 1 equals 120? E does. So I'm going to put E right here. And there it is. Now, the only thing I have left, and this makes total sense, if 4 equals 60, then 1 equals 20. If 1 equals 20, then 7 equals 20. If 7 equals 20, then 6 equals 60. If 6 equals 60, then 5 equals 120. And so I've numbered these correctly in the right order. Now, they tell me right here 4 equals 60. So what conclusion can I come to? Well, my conclusion is if angle 4 equals 60 degrees, then angle 5 equals 120 degrees. So here it is. If angle 4 equals 60 degrees, then right here, then angle 5, this should say 5, let me fix that real quick, then angle 5 equals 120 degrees. There it is. That's your conclusion, okay? All right, let's try one more and we're done with this homework assignment. Okay, students, here we go. Let's go ahead and number these in order. So I'm going to start with letter A and put letter A first. There we go. Now notice letter A ends with 3 equals 20. So I'm looking for a phrase that starts with 3 equals 20. And here it is right here, letter D. So letter D would come next. So it'll look like this. Now, I've used A, I've used D. D ends with 2 equals 60 right here. So I'm looking for a phrase that starts with 2 equals 60. And students, I don't see it anywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this down and I'm going to have to look for a phrase that goes above letter A that ends with right here 8 equals 120. So then I can start right here with 8 equals 120. So what phrase ends with 8 equals 120? Well, E does. E. So E is going to go right here. So now I have E, A, D, so cross off E, cross off A, cross off D. And now I want a phrase that I can squeeze in right here that ends with 9 equals 60, so it can pick up right here with 9 equals 60. So what phrase ends with 9 equals 60? B. So B is going to go right here. So now I have, if 10 equals 60, then 9 equals 60. If 9 equals 60, then 8 equals 120. If 8 equals 120, then 3 equals 120. If 3 equals 120, then 2 equals 60. And then notice right here in my given, and also right here, it states 10 equals 60. So I've ordered these and put these in number like the directions asked me to do, and now they want me to write the conclusion I can come up with. Well, I'm told that angle 10 equals 60 degrees, so my conclusion is if angle 10 equals 60 degrees, then angle 2 also equals 60 degrees. And that's it, okay? This has been, in my opinion, this has been a pretty fun lesson, doing all these contrapositives and converses and moving phrases around. It's kind of like a puzzle, okay? I hope this homework help video has been a help to you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call or email.